I was going to tell Kirsty a little bit more about why I started Mojo Mingle. So if you've heard the story before, you don't have to stick around. Basically, I started it in 2017. So my background is as a nuclear medicine technologist. So I work in the hospital still sometimes doing casual work. And I really was very passionate about working in that field. And the best thing was that I got to use that qualification to work in the UK and to sort of move around and take locum roles or short-term casual contracts in different places around Australia. And that's what I did around England as well. When I traveled, I really started to come out of my shell, and I just found that it was much easier to talk to strangers than to talk to people like back home. So when I was like in another country, it was just really easy to go up and start a conversation with people. So I'm very comfortable with, just developing rapport with new people and making friends. So I've got a lot of amazing friends overseas, which kind of sucks when it's my birthday in Australia because everyone's like everywhere else and not here with me. Pretty much like worked and traveled for many years, came back to Australia. I had what my friend and I call post-travel depression. So it was like I came back and I'd been traveling for so long and I was like in the mindset of a traveler. Most of my friends had maybe moved away or they'd partnered up or they had families or they were on such a tight budget because they were doing renovations. I wasn't really finding people that were on the same wavelength as me. Like I didn't really click with people where I was living anymore. And I guess I was just in need of some new friends that had a similar mindset to me or a similar outlook on life. And someone had said, why don't you join a meetup group? So I went along to a couple of meetup events and I was so nervous, like the first couple that I went to. I actually made some good friends out of going to meetup events. I even met a guy that I dated for like 2 years at a meetup event. And so I knew Meetup was a great way to meet people. It's a website, if you're not familiar with Meetup, where you can go and join different groups that have different interests and you get to meet like-minded people. Came back to Geelong, didn't really want to work in nuclear medicine anymore because my values had changed. I was very interested in permaculture, which is kind of like living sustainably and looking after like the earth and community, people care, earth care, and fair share are the sort of guiding principles. And I just felt like working in nuclear medicine, where I'm usually in a department, maybe working by myself, physically handling radiation and injecting it into people, taking a picture of it, meant that I was also usually like in a lead-lined basement, no natural sunlight, no like fresh air. After traveling for so many years, I've like really loved being around people. And then suddenly I was like working in this environment where I wasn't out in the sunshine. I was like in this artificial space. So I was in Geelong, I needed new friends. I wanted to change my career and I'd been to Nepal to study to be a yoga instructor. And then I came back to Australia and I taught 2 or 1 class of yoga. And I was like, this is like not quick enough for me. And I did a course to be a stand-up paddleboard instructor, but then that job was a bit dodgy. And so I didn't actually take that job. I went back to uni to study to be a teacher. I did a couple of days of casual relief teaching, but realized that I don't really like behavior management of children, especially when you're a casual relief teacher and you don't get to develop rapport with the kids. And it's like a Friday afternoon and you're trying to teach year 8 students maths and science and all they want to do is just play on their iPad. So I had like all this experience and knowledge and I really just wanted to do something that I loved. And I was just kind of thinking, what am I going to do? And then this ad came up on Facebook and a lady said, oh, come and join my webinar and I'll teach you about marketing funnels. And I was like, never heard of any of this stuff before. I've got no idea what it is, but I'll join her webinar and learn all about it. So I went to a webinar and it was one of those ones where at the end, they're like, this is an amazing package, sign up for it. And I was like, oh my God, it's going to expire in like the next hour. I've got to sign up. So I signed up to her course and that's where I learned about creating a business and I learned about Facebook marketing. And the idea that she sells is that you can pretty much start up a profitable lifestyle business in 6 weeks And that did not happen. Like literally, I was still trying to work out Facebook ads like 12 months later. She said, choose a business idea that is something that you can help people and something that you like really enjoy doing. And so I knew from traveling and going to meetup events and even just like planning gatherings with my friends that I really liked to have experiences, and I really liked connecting with people and connecting people. So I thought, I'm going to start up a social group, but I'm not going to use the meetup platform predominantly. I'll make my own website because the lady in the course teaches you how to make a website. And I'm going to bring people together and just teach them like how to have fun in our local area and introduce people to each other, and we'll all be happy, and everyone will have new friends, and I'll get to do all the things that I want to do, but I won't have to do it by myself. I'll have other people coming to do them with me, and it'll be a way that we can support local business. That was my business idea, but I also was using Tinder at the time, and I was like really hating the experience in the app because I was so used to meeting people face to face, like when I traveled, and I really enjoyed meeting people when I was like doing tours or, trying a different meal at a restaurant. And I just wanted to meet people in person. And I'd heard from a lot of my friends and people that I talked to that they were also struggling to enjoy the experience that a lot of people have in apps, which is quite frustrating, like ghosting and, just people not really putting in the effort or showing up. And so I thought, well, maybe my social group can be for singles. And so that's what it became. The name of it was originally Organic Fusions, which was supposed to represent people meeting organically and like connecting. But a lot of people said, it sounds like you're trying to sell aromatherapy products, or you've got some kind of hipster noodle store, or like I don't know, they were just a little bit confused with the name. So I think in 2019, I changed the name to Mojo Mingle. And at the same time, I'd been working so long with singles and creating events that I realized that a lot of people are looking for different things when they come out to singles events. So some people just want to make some new friends. They're in the same situation as me. They were maybe in a situation where they'd been away or they'd come to a new place and they needed to make some new connections and rebuild their social network. Maybe all their friends had moved away or their friends were now partnered. There were people who were coming to singles events because they didn't want to use dating apps and they wanted to meet a potential partner. There were some people who might have been in a breakup and they're kind of feeling like low energy and they just wanted a distraction. There were some single parents who were like, I hardly get any time to myself, so it's a great opportunity for me to give the kids to my ex and I can come out and be social with adults for once. So there's lots of different reasons for people coming to our community, which also meant that people were coming with different intentions for each event. So when it got to 2019, I thought, well, I can have most of the events as like for singles that just want to catch up and meet. And then I created another business called Offline Valentine, which is for singles that actually are looking to enter into a relationship. They're serious about, dating and finding a partner. And then that sort of turned into me becoming a matchmaker. So now I kind of do across this sort of spectrum of events, which include just events for people to learn how to build their social confidence. I do events for people like this, which is just an activity to connect with other people and extend your social network, maybe make some friends. Then there's social events that are just for singles, but it's not necessarily a dating event. It's just, everyone else there is single. So, you're not cutting anyone else's lunch if you do want to hand out your contact details to them. And then there's the singles events where I do bring a very similar minded type of person to that event, where they're quite open-minded, but they are looking for a partner. And it's generally like for professionals and people who are willing to invest in the coordination and organization of that type of event. And then there's like the matchmaking service, which is for people that are maybe too busy or don't know where to find their person. And then because I meet a lot of people through my community, they can sign up for matchmaking and I can introduce them to people that I've met at events. So Then COVID happened in 2000 and it was about February or March. I think I did my last in-person event last year in 2020. And suddenly my business, which was all offline networking. So I didn't want to do anything in the online space. I was like, you got to get off technology. Like, let's meet up in person. Like, don't use the apps. And then I was suddenly a big fat hypocrite because I was like, everyone come online and meet through a digital device. So I spent, pretty much most of last year doing social events. I probably did like at least 2 or 3 a week because my focus was on ensuring that people felt connected, because my background in health means that I'm like, that's my number one value, health. So mental health is way up there. And I know in the past when I've been sick, so I had glandular fever when I was 19. So I was like really lethargic and I felt quite depressed and I wasn't fun anymore for my friends to hang around with me. And so I was just in a really low point, and I realized how important connection and having, friends to do things with is. And so, especially last year during COVID, I was like, I'm happy when I'm connecting people. So why not like create all these events for people just to come online and, have some fun. And you kind of forget that, COVID and everything else is going on out there when you're in this space. And so that's a major reason why I keep doing it, because I feel like it's my purpose to like connect people and just show people how, you can come out and be social, and there's like so many opportunities for just improving your life, whether it's coming out and doing some fun activity with us, or we go to a lot of places that cater for people with different dietary requirements. They're usually like health focused as well. Like we don't tend to go to have a beer and a oily, I don't know, hamburger at the pub. Like it's more sort of go and enjoy some nice Thai food or something like that. The whole reason like I even live my life the way that I do is when I was 21, my best friend, Jason, who he was like so much fun to hang out with. I met him when I was 20 because my housemate and he used to date. And anyway, so Jason would quite regularly call me just to like say, oh, I really miss Jane and I love Jane so much and why won't you take me back? And I would like listen to him all the time. But we'd also catch up a lot and we'd like play soccer in the backyard and we'd go out dancing. And he was just like very mischievous, but he had like so much energy and he just like really loved living life to the max. But unfortunately, when I was 21, he was hit by a car and he was in intensive care for maybe like 6 weeks or something at the Alfred in Melbourne with brain damage. And unfortunately, he passed away. So that was like, again, a very low moment in my life, but it just showed me how, I find it kind of hard to keep talking after this story. He just showed me like how precious life is, how short life is, and just to make the most of it. So after that moment, I just knew to like not waste time. So when I was 21, I was 2 years away from finishing uni. So 2 years away from finishing my nuclear medicine degree. And then I knew I wanted to save money and go travel and see the world. And then even when I traveled, like every month I would send postcards to my friends and family, just letting them know that I was thinking of them. And like, I always try to stay in touch with people. And I think that's what keeps my spirits high. My mood is always like, I'm generally a really happy person. But it's not because life has been amazing for me. Like I've had hard things happen, and I think I just want to make sure that everyone else has the opportunity to get out and make friends and be social. And I just know how good it is for mental health. So thank you for listening to my story.
Thanks very much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Sarah. I understand it's not easy to share that, particularly with strangers, so we appreciate that. I appreciate your vulnerability.
You're welcome. I think it's also because I'm tired that I'm like particularly emotional.
And lockdown doesn't help.
No.
I know it doesn't help me.
Yeah. And then so actually there's more, because most of the people in my community followed my sort of lead with like, let's not meet online, like let's meet up in person. So last year was also quite hard to try and help people the way that I wanted to, because a lot of people are just resistant to doing anything in Zoom, especially if they work a week in Zoom. And so I found it particularly hard this year to try to make an income from this business. So it's in transition. So I think at the beginning of this event, I explained that I'm probably going to be doing more of these events for universities where I don't have to find the people, because that's pretty much where I spend all the money, is finding like advertising and marketing to generate brand awareness. And then I spend a lot of time sending emails and doing social media posts and making like content to attract people to Mojo Mingle, so that when you buy a ticket to an event, I've got other people there for you to meet. And that is a lot of work. I don't know if you've ever tried to plan like a birthday party with all of your friends there on the one night. Like generally it's kind of impossible. And like I'm trying to bring strangers together. So then people also have like their insecurities, and there's a lot of like fear around meeting up with, you know, strangers and new people. And a lot of people fear like rejection or fear being judged. So I've been very interested in working out how I can really help people. So if people aren't coming to social events, then I still want to help those who are action takers. And so I've decided, and this is hot off the press, that next year, so in 2022, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go back to uni and do a master's and study counseling and psychotherapy, so I can become a psychotherapist. Because I feel like what I've noticed is that a lot of people who don't come to social events, or especially singles events, will have a lot of excuses or reasons for not stepping out of their comfort zone. And that usually just relates to traumas that they've had in the past. Maybe they've been divorced, or maybe they were bullied at school like I was, and they're just like super shy around people. Like over the years, I've done a lot of work to step out of my comfort zone. So working in nuclear medicine, I had to talk to patients like every day. And so I was so nervous when I first started talking to patients in the hospital setting. And then traveling, I also had to start getting used to talking to strangers. And then even starting this business, like when I first started doing social events, I was like so nervous and tongue-tied, and I'd be like, oh, red and rashy before starting an event. But because I've done it so much now, and I'm constantly revising, what have I done? How can I improve it? I'm building my confidence. And yeah, it's just, I would love to teach people how to do that. And I'd love to help them unpack what it is that's holding them back. What is stopping them from living a 100% authentic life and just being their true self as they might be around their best friend, like that, in front of everyone else. So yeah, I think that's where like Mojo Mingle is headed. I'll probably do less social events for our community, just because there's less people willing to come online to do the events. The in-person events are very challenging at the moment because of COVID. I might put all that time and energy into planning the event, and then COVID suddenly means that I can't do it. And it's kind of hard to keep pushing it forward, because people inevitably will say, oh, I can't make that date, or I can't make this, because we're all very busy. So Melbourne Uni have asked me to do some virtual events like this, speed friending specifically for their new grad students. So for their orientation week, I'll be doing some online activities like this. And if that all goes well, then I'm just going to ask other universities if this is a service that they could use. And then with the studying next year, I think a lot of what I learn, I can run workshops and just share the knowledge with people in our community. So I told you it was a very long story.
That's great though, thanks. Yeah.
Also wanted to like end on a high note there.
Yeah. Oh, it's cool. It's really great.
Thank you so much for sharing that story.
Yeah. And I think
I've actually got to head off now, guys. It was so lovely to meet everybody. But thank you so much for sharing that, Sarah. That was a beautiful story, and it's really cool to see. And I have to say, I've been to a lot of meetup events. I've been to huge numbers of meeting events, both in person and online. And I think this was a really nice evening in which it was really light, and like everyone felt a lot more, I can't speak for everyone, but I definitely felt a lot more connected up to people in a really non-manufactured way. Sometimes they can be quite manufactured, but it was a really lovely, natural way to get to know people. So it was really lovely to meet you all, and have a wonderful evening, guys. Stay safe.
Thank you, Kirsty.
Good to meet you too.
Bye,
See you later.
Kirsty.
See ya.
That's really exciting, Sarah. I reckon that's something you're going to do well at.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, big thank you to you and everyone. And I just joined the event like at 1:30. Around 1:30, I saw your email. I was like, oh, okay, like give it a go. And then it's a beautiful night. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And you know, it really wouldn't be an amazing event without people like you. So without all of you coming to this event, like I say, it would just be me talking to the camera. So you create it as well. So thank you for being part of it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Well, thank you.
All right, guys, well, have a great night.
Thanks, Sarah.
You
Good
too.
night, everyone.
Night.
Bye.
Thanks again, Sarah.
Thanks, everyone. See you later. All right.
Bye.
Bye.